I remember he'd always talk in his press conferences about red wine. And I quite like red wine as well. And he'd always sort of...
Shops at Waitrose? I shop at Waitrose!
He just stinks of arrogance, ignorance, and just a bit of entitlement.
No, great.
He could be first, but he isn't destroying my club from the inside out.
Fair enough.
He isn't completely ruining my club from the inside. What's happening, everyone, and welcome to 888 Sport. On this episode of the playlist, I would love for you to rank the top 5 most annoying managers in the league. There are 3 names that need to be on your list, but after that, you can freestyle a bit. The names that need to be on your list, somewhere in the top 5, are Mikel Arteta, Jurgen Klopp, and Pep Guardiola. The rest you can freestyle. Any irrational hatred, I'm well up for them. Please do us a favour just before we reveal. Will you please click that subscriber button right now? It massively helps us out. We'd love to welcome you into the community. We have some fantastic content coming out, and please do click that subscriber button. Thank you so much. Right, has everybody completed their list? Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, please reveal the managers that really get on your tits. Kompany. Because he wears a cap with a suit.
Yeah, honestly, it's like,
with you annoyingly.
pick a look, mate, honestly, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love him, but I hate it too.
He's like a CEO of some trendy American company, isn't he? Like, you know what I mean? Honestly,
You know what I mean?
Genuinely, get rid of the hat.
Like the geezer in a big short.
He definitely wears a belt with the shorts. You know what I mean? That's what he does, definitely, 100%. No, I've gone Kompany because it's like, it's just the staggering arrogance. I think this is much on Burnley's attitude towards coming up as much as anything else. Like, and I am all for football teams trying to play good football. I think it's an admirable quality. But it was the whole like, we've shown the Championship how to play football. Now we're going to teach the Premier League how to play passing football. The Premier League went, what are you doing here with all these absolute amateurs trying to pass the football around?
They didn't amend, did they?
No,
they didn't
nothing.
try. They didn't evolve. They didn't do it at all. No.
Look at Luton and what they've been able to do. And I watched Luton early in the season and thought, this is the worst collection of footballers I've seen in the Premier League. But actually, training, coaching, and actually creating a tactical plan to suit where you are and your status in the league and be battling, but also still play a little bit of football as well. Whereas there's the staggering arrogance I find of Kompany of just going, I'm just going to blithely do this and just walk our way back into the Championship whilst doing it is mad. And I get it. To teach your team how to play that, you have got to stick to your principles to some extent, but you can balance things out a little bit. You can be a bit more pragmatic.
Do you think he's going to be a good manager, or do you think he's actually a bad manager?
It's mad, isn't he? He looks like one of those managers who probably needs to be at the best club, or best club, one of the best clubs in the league
to play that system with the best players.
To succeed, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Ten Hag at the top.
Yeah, he's annoying, man.
Yeah, he's very annoying.
Ten Hag, I mean,
he's on my list as well.
He's always talking about Arsenal. He's always mentioning, decisions that have gone against him, whether they 6 months, 4 months later. When he came into the club, he talked about eras coming to an end. He's a bit arrogant. He didn't want to listen to, what's his name, Ralph Ragnick, who had the job 6 months before him. He just stinks of arrogance, ignorance, and just a bit of entitlement.
Nah, great. Look, don't get me wrong. I love a guy who gaslights United fans. Absolutely. He's giving me so much joy. But he's an absolute arse. He really is. Of course he is, man. The amount of stuff he says in press conferences after games where United fans are pulling their hair out. He's like, we played well today. We did this and that. And they're like, what's he on about?
But the Roy Hodgson approach to post-matter. But I love the fact that it was like the Ronaldo, how he handled the Ronaldo situation. I remember saying that summer when he came in, just go and get rid of Ronaldo. It's your chance to really lay your strength down, show how powerful you are. And he didn't. And it was a bit like, it came round to the point when he got praised for how he handled the Ronaldo stuff in the end,
he did handle it
which is mad because Ronaldo went, I'm leaving, I'm tearing with that, and it's a bit like he went, well actually you're sacked anyway on the way out, and it's like, come on,
David Brent.
No,
because Paul's right. The Ronaldo situation should have been sorted in the summer. He didn't sort that situation out well.
This is harsh, I think, on Ten Hag. Ronaldo went and spoke to Piers Morgan on an unsolicited interview.
Should have been sold in the summer.
because he should have sorted it.
Should have sold him in the summer.
Sorted it out then.
Fair.
Ronaldo proved himself bigger and more important than the whole football club, and there was an opportunity for Ten Hag to be strong there, and he didn't. And somehow, again, he had the audacity to to sort of like claim that was his doing.
He thinks he's better than he is, Ten Hag. Yeah. Absolutely. He really thinks he's God's gift.
And you've both got Wilder in your 1 and 2.
I copied Paulie, I'm going to be honest. I forgot about him until you reminded me, oh my God, I cannot stand that. Do you know that story about recently where he was like, he went to speak to the referee and he said to the assistant was sat there just having his lunch or whatever. He was eating, had a slice of pizza. He went, "You're eating a piece of pizza in front of a Premier League manager," or something like that. Like the astounding arrogance of a man questioning sustenance. Like
he questioned he called the referee arrogant because he was eating a sandwich while he was talking
to him. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely mad.
Yeah, and I saw more quotes in a thread on Twitter about it, and I'm like, oh wow, he's an absolute
Okay, I wasn't aware of Pizzagate.
Breathing like an absolute idiot.
Like, do you know who I am when you're Chris Wilder? Like, no, I don't.
I can't, but weirdly, nobody. You haven't got. Nobody else has got Thomas Frank, which really upsets
Lampard,
me.
yeah, actually doesn't manage at the moment.
No.
Lampard actually would have been top if he was still.
No. Lampard's perfect.
I ain't got much to say against Thomas Frank, you know. I'm surprised he's in your list.
Do you know? There's a few things that
might
really
be a
wound me
London
up.
thing, I don't know.
No, they're barely London, Middlesex at best. I'm not having them. Chiswick, I don't know. No. They. He drives me mad, Thomas Frank. Do you know what really got me? Like, I haven't liked him for a long time. There was a time when I did, actually. I remember he'd always talk in his press conferences about red wine. And I quite like red wine as well. And he'd always talk, if they got a win, he'd always go, we're going to have a nice glass of red.
He shops at Waitrose. I shop
like
at
me. But no, do you know what really wound me up recently? I love the FA Cup. I love what the FA Cup represents. And I don't like... No, what he did... Yeah, that would have annoyed me as well. No, but what he did, bearing in mind he's at Brentford, probably the most insignificant club to have ever played in the Premier League. Like a completely poxy, irrelevant club that have somehow got into the Premier League. Look, it's a meritocracy. They got a team together. They got into the Premier League, fair play. But when you think of some of the brilliant teams that aren't in the Premier League, imagine the spring you'd have in your step if Leeds United are in the Premier League. Sheffield Wednesday, like proper clubs with proper history, proper support. He, over the FA Cup, he got annoyed about replays. He didn't want replays. They should be scrapped. And you're like, wait, 10 years ago, Brentford would have been dreaming of going to Old Trafford in a replay. They would have loved it. They've got up, and now he's trying to pull the ladder up. And I just thought that is so hypocritical, so out of order from him. So I really want him to go down as well. And I think they can.
He's laid his reasons out quite well.
I don't like him at all. I think he's
You sure he's not first? It's foppish.
He could be first, but he isn't destroying my club from the inside out.
Fair enough.
He isn't completely ruining my club from the inside. Do you know? I don't know if any of you have ever had an experience of this. This is going to blow your mind. The only person that I think could relate to this would be somebody like Flav. If you're a Tottenham fan, you'll know what I'm talking about here. We have a manager who hates us. It's mental. I've never had this before.
Can I just point out?
We have a manager who hates Chelsea.
Is it Chelsea seem to attract a lot of managers who hate Chelsea and want to single-handedly rip the club apart from the inside? Now, might it be?
No.
Can I just proffer an alternative that it might not be the managers and it might be the football club and the fans instead?
You're on to something, mate.
I've never. Do you know when Antonio Conte was at Tottenham and he'd do press conferences and he hated them. And like the Tottenham fans are doing their best to love their manager, but they couldn't. Yeah. He hates Chelsea. I've never known anything like it. It's such a weird sensation. Like, even bad managers that haven't fit at Liverpool. I know Hodgson's the obvious example. He didn't hate you. Managers that you haven't necessarily, they haven't chimed with the club. I don't know, you got Bruce Rioch, even Unai Emery on some level. Didn't hate you. He hates us.
What are you basing this on?
On everything that he does.
He's being sabotaging you
intentionally. I think he hates Chelsea. I think he wants Chelsea to be that. I think he hates us. Like, if you look at the way that he conducts himself as Chelsea manager, everything about him isn't in tune. You know when Klopp does his thing and he like builds a team, builds a unity, and people from the outside looking in might think it's ridiculous when he does his fist bumps or when he did that celebration. It's about creating unity, creating harmony, it doesn't matter what Man United fans think of that. It matters what Liverpool think of that. Pochettino, everything he does is built to like, we're about to play Tottenham. We're going to Tottenham. They were top of the league at the time. And he goes, I'd love to be manager of Tottenham.
Is that what you
Wait,
said?
what? Yeah. Stop doing like, hang on a minute. No, you wouldn't. He has never once clapped the Chelsea fans, home or away. Never, literally once. Never. Did I tell you what he does, though? Makes a beeline onto the pitch. Chelsea and Tottenham are rivals. And look, I'm not so dumb to not understand that he could be friends with former Tottenham players. Of course, I get that. But do it down the tunnel. Whenever Chelsea have played a team where there's a
Was he
former
swapping
Tottenham player.
shirts?
Yeah, mate, I'll tell you
Was
what.
he unbuttoning?
Mate,
It's like,
I'll tell you what, if he sees Kyle Walker, you know when Chelsea finished playing, and if he spots Kyle Walker, he's like that, wallop, straight over to him.
Walk off the pitch
Ignoring-
topless with Son's shirt over the shoulder.
Exactly.
Holding hands, skipping
Yeah.
along.
Cole Palmer scored 2 and he just doesn't ignores him. He just hates Chelsea. And I think he's destroying us on purpose from the inside out.
Well, I love
And that's
Pochettino.
why I've
Great
taken him off my list. He was in second, but I quite like him now. So.
Sounds great.
The other thing with him, right, he also portrays himself, I don't know if you've noticed, Pochettino really does portray himself as being like a man of honour and integrity. I would never take the Barcelona job because I love Espanyol. He went to Chelsea.
Yeah.
He's a charlatan.
Yeah.
He's a complete and utter Judas.
They all do it.
But do it, but don't pretend you wouldn't. Like, he actually builds himself by going, I would never take
But
the
isn't
Barcelona
going
job.
to Chelsea for loads of money the Chelsea way?
No, but it's so disrespectful to the Tottenham fans that used to sing about him being magic for years. He shouldn't have taken the Chelsea job.
And
Do
Rory
you know what
only
I mean?
cares about the Tottenham fans here and their feelings,
I
obviously.
care about rivalry and tribalism, and I think it just is a mark of the man. That, like, you know, when he went, I'd never take the Barcelona job. No, you wouldn't, because you would never be offered that. It's like me saying I'd never play up front for Barcelona. Not going to happen. So no, Pochettino should be all of your number one, and Thomas Frank close second. How have none of you got Postecoglou?
I think it's because
You're
I
better
like
than
him.
this. You've let yourself down here.
I think Postecoglou's great.
Tottenham manager, but if I'm taking the bias out, I mean,
You're all right,
I
mate.
don't.
All right, mate.
Yeah, I don't give a
he's
shit
just a
about all
nice
of that.
guy.
I just
Oh,
think,
the
you know,
audacity of being Australian. Oh, my
You're
God.
all right. You're all right, mate. All right, mate. Everything's all right.
I just think he's been not a breath of fresh air, because he's not doing stuff
the
that
line
hasn't
in.
been done by other managers. But I just like the fact that he doesn't take it too seriously. Like the end of the transfer window, he did his press conference, and you thought he was about to throw Tottenham under the bus about saying like their transfer policy, and he was just talking about Lewis Hamilton moving, and like everyone went, oh, all right. So, like the fact that you can go into those environments and actually not just be a personalityless robot, and actually just go and be. I like him, and he's a Liverpool fan
I think
as well.
people mistake his hunt for decency as arrogance, and I think actually he does actually care. I like him. I think he's a good bloke, and I can see why that riles a bit. But
Get him off your list. Wrong.
It also winds me up how he's sort of now this media darling.
that's annoying.
Everyone loves him.
I can't put that on him. If we're talking about that would be annoying. He'd be on this list. But him as a character, as a person, it just seems like a normal guy in a top job. And what he said recently about, top four's not a trophy, I respect that highly. Because a lot of managers have come in
because
and
he
acted
didn't
like
respect
top
that
four
Pochettino.
is
It's
a
one of the big
trophy.
things for him. He always said top four was more important than winning the trophy, and that's why I never wanted Pochettino.
Why he's
in
never
my
won
club.
anything.
Mentality.
No, and you know what? Out of the big boys, when you're as good as Klopp and Pep, I just don't find them. People get really wound up by Klopp, and it just doesn't resonate with me, because I can always look at it through my own lens. If he was my manager, I'd love it.
Love him, yeah.
It's like,
Same.
people go, oh, I hate Dennis Wise. I'm like, yeah, but
Still
you'd
second.
love him. Like, it's brilliant. He's also one of the best managers to have ever sort of been in the country. How can you?
The only reason I've got Pep above them is just because I've had to live my life dominated by Pep Guardiola's success, unfortunately, and he's stolen happiness from me over the last 6 or 7 years or whatever, which is really annoying. And also, like, just when he comes on the pitch at the end and it's like, oh, Nathan Redmond, let's have a big chat with you. Get off.
That's very performative. That was very, yeah.
The thing is with me with Klopp is I do actually fundamentally, he probably admits himself, I don't think he's a very good loser, but to the point where I actually think he's a bit of an arse at times, and I think he's got a tendency to sort of belittle reporters when he's lost, which I think he only does it when he's lost, and he gets very like, why are you asking me this question? He gets very condescending. He's a big tall guy and he knows it, and he speaks down at people and tries to intimidate him. It's very Ferguson, that, and I couldn't stand...
Being a bad loser as a manager is a good quality though, right?
Yes, it is, but I think randomly it's just sort of taking out on the waiter vibes, and I think you can judge a lot of
I see.
like I don't like it when people lash out at people who are just going. So you can tell they're nervous. So what do you think about the fixture list congestion? They're absolutely terrified to ask the question. Then Klopp looms over them and absolutely mocks them for asking the question. When it's
Was he meant to do crouch?
well, I mean, like even he purposely. And he definitely does try and make them feel bad for doing their job.
I think he's one of them, and it's ultimately part of the Klopp thing of he's on his way out. So like he's just but what I mean now is like he's had to bite his lip on certain things, and the same stupid questions week in week out. That early kickoff one, when everyone goes, "Oh, you hate early kickoffs," she's like. no one's been paying attention to him this whole time. It's like it's not even about me hating them. It's about the turnaround time between playing a football match and playing the early kickoff is a bit stupid. It is, in his opinion, and that's not just for them; it's for others. But everyone goes, "Oh, Jurgen Klopp, he hates it." So when he gets asked about it, he just gets, as you would, gets exasperated.
He does
with
whine.
it.
I'd say I just happen to not be part of this. Like Thomas Frank gets on my nerves far more. I quite like Klopp on a lot of levels, in fact. But I think if you were to conduct a poll, football Premier League season ticket holders, if you were to do a survey outside every stadium, Klopp, I think, is probably the least liked.
Do you know what I think it is? It's the discrepancy between how he's perceived and how actually most people view him. I think people at the media largely like Klopp's great, and he sort of is, and he comes out when he's on the right side of the discussion. He comes out with very articulate responses to current social issues every now and then. He comes across really well, but the fans see the other side. But yeah, he's just been an absolute arse after our games to the punditry, and you all love him and tell him he's great, but we don't feel that way.
I always like people who are brilliant. When Chelsea were winning back-to-back leagues and Mourinho was our manager, if you found him annoying because he was winning leagues, I get it. But Mourinho's brilliant. I don't understand how you don't like Mourinho. Yeah. I don't understand how you don't like Sir Alex Ferguson.
Separate them, can't you, though? Between the personalities and what you like about them with their success.
I agree on the Klopp point is that when you're in the ground, I've heard people sing songs to Klopp without saying them, because I couldn't possibly repeat them on here. but it's because he's a character, and he is something about it. This idea of hate. There's not many. As a youngster, in inverted commas, hated more footballers because they were just more known footballers with bigger personalities and more about them that you could get around.
Actually,
they're all just footballing entities now, and Klopp's got something about him. So there's just something there where you can get annoyed by him because he's a three-dimensional person. Yeah.
For me, this was Ten Hag and Pochettino. Easy answers for me: United, arrogant. Pochettino, Chelsea, Tottenham manager. For me, Guardiola is the most annoying of the three managers handed. Reason being because number one, he's the best. Yeah,
it's sort of like a confession corner over here.
The attention to detail, in my opinion, has partly ruined the game.
Yeah, I agree.
Guardiola
Jack
doesn't
Grealish
like that.
and Jeremy Doku should be electrifying.
100%.
And neither of them are.
Yeah, he's the best manager. Now a lot of people follow him, rightly so, but I just think a lot of
that's
what
the
he's
laziness
brought
of football, though, I'd argue. Just because he's the best, he doesn't mean you have to copy him. And people should be more, more intuitive. Come up with your own ideas.
Fair.
You don't have to copy him. Klopp's not the same football, he's different.
Yeah. Arteta, Steve.
He's just a bit spiky and a bit weird, isn't he? I don't like his hair. I don't like his hair. You know what I mean?
He came across really bad. I think he's done far better than I ever anticipated him doing. I think he's a very, very good manager.
Yeah, he is.
Do you know where I thought he did himself no favours? Being on that document. I didn't watch much of it because it turned into just like a massive advert for Arsenal Football Club. But I think I watched the first episode or two.
Brendan Rodgers, but good.
And do you remember there? And then the clips went round. Wheeling the speakers on, playing You'll Never Walk Alone and things like that. He got things like that really wrong. But overall, he's doing a remarkable job.
If you're learning, you're going to get things wrong. I mean,
just don't put them.
Don't get it twisted. It's cringe to see that. But as an Arsenal fan, I enjoyed that documentary a lot. Not because of what it was, but because we got to see an insight into Mikel. There was a lot of question marks about his management because we never knew about him before. He was Pep's assistant. What that documentary done is, all right, he's trying some stuff. The You'll Never Walk Alone thing, cringe, but he tried something, it didn't work. He moves on to the next one. I mean, we saw with the Ivan Toney tweet, he used that. Some might say that's cringe. Yeah. But I think what it showed is there was one big moment for me in that documentary. We was winning at halftime. I forgot who it was against. I think it was against Everton, and he still went in on the players. And I like that because the question marks prior to the documentary was, has he got a ruthless side? Can he really lay in when
really ruthless? I thought he handled the Aubameyang situation at the time
Ozil,
wrong.
Aubameyang,
I thought he was
Guendouzi.
Yeah.
He over the years he showed a lot, and that documentary gave us an insight.
Aubameyang at the time, it really did look like it was the wrong decision because Arsenal basically wrote off top four that year to get him out the door. Yeah. But they've paid dividends since.
Yeah.
Also, the thing for me is when he did that whole everyone's against us and he started listing and complaining to the FA about the referees and all this kind of stuff. Like, mate, you're not special, you're not different. They're all just terrible, these refs, and you're not being more hard done by than anyone else. Because I thought it was nonsense.
He was a great example. In the aftermath of the Liverpool Tottenham VAR disaster of coming out and going, listen, it's just football. People, the humans, they make mistakes. And then like a week later,
exactly
it's an absolute disgrace. It's an absolute
disgrace. When they got beat at Newcastle.
Didn't say disgrace, disgracia.
They got beat at Newcastle. Do you remember there was that goal that could have been ruled out for like 4 different reasons at Newcastle? He didn't deal with that well. But then maybe he shouldn't either.
Who did?
Yeah, maybe he shouldn't.
Deal with that
maybe
well?
he shouldn't have done. Yeah. But it's quite funny that if he suggested that. Yeah.
But each their own. We all do it.
Yeah,
we all do it. If
we'll
Liverpool City,
do it. But maybe
that Doku won against. You think I wasn't celebrating that the ref didn't give it? Of course I was celebrating the ref didn't give it. But it happens against us. I'll be done. The ref's next to me. I think we'll probably leave it there. Will you do us a favour? Please comment below. Let us know who really gets on your nerves. What manager is it that really, really gets you? You can't let it go, even if it's irrational. Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please click subscribe and we'll see you all on the next episode of the playlist. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see us rank the top 5 players in the Premier League so far this season, click the link now.